Then there's reputation. We have discovered a couple of things. One is the way we introduce people with disabilities is awful. Because mostly the first time you meet the person is you meet their paper. You tend to meet paper before you meet people. And when you meet the paper says, "This is Sarah, and she's a woman with the following disabilities and the following problems." And when that happens, it sets your head. You go, "Oh, somebody with Down syndrome, well, there's imagery for me. Somebody with the bipolar disorder, oh, there's more imagery for me." No. And it's useful to know some disability labels because it helps with understanding what's going on. But for the most part, it's not. And if I was going to introduce you, I'd like you to meet Louis. He's a man with many problems. And we have a list. And all of your friends are going, yeah. Instead of saying, I might like you to meet Louis, he's a man with a remarkable sense of humor and a contagious smile who knows how to be warm to people, who's a traveler and a golfer. Whole different mindset. So part of what we want to do is learn what we like and admire about the person and have that be the very first thing you read about the individual, the very front end of your records. So if you've not learned to do one-page profiles, you need to sign up. And again, almost all the stuff I'm talking about as far as person-centered thinking training, I'm not trying to advertise me. I love to teach it, but you have local experts. Why hire somebody who needs an airplane when you can hire somebody who uses a car? But one-page profiles should be the very first thing you see about a person. And the very front end of that one-page profile is what we like and admire. But it also is about how do you deal with negative reputations? How do you deal with the person who's labeled is kicker, biter, spitter? How do you deal with somebody where they go, oh, no, we don't call them kickers. We say he has physical aggression using appendages. But how do you begin to address that? So we teach people there's 3 questions you should always ask whenever somebody has a negative reputation. Are there circumstances where the negative is a positive? What would you call it in those circumstances? How many of you, if we asked your friends, they would say, oh yeah, stubborn, that's her. How many of you have stubborn as one of your characteristics? Yeah. So what do you call stubborn when it's a positive? There's a whole set of them. Principled, persistent, determined, tenacious. Have you ever worked with somebody who's been labeled manipulative? Do you know what that's called when it's in somebody who's valued? Persuasive. It's also called leadership. If I'm a good leader, if I'm a good trainer, supposed to be a thought leader, I'm going to get you to do stuff with what you listen. Isn't that manipulative? Does it reflect something that's important to the person? Stubborn. Stand by my principles. Important to me. If you had a deeper conversation with me, you discover I can only do work that supports my values. I could be making a bunch more money teaching almost the very same stuff to a bunch of for-profit companies. But I would rather not. Last question, is it sometimes really a negative? And if it is, what do you call it? And if it is, how do you support it? So we don't say somebody who has a little problem with fire likes a warm, cheery glow. We don't gloss over stuff. A true example is I was working with this woman, and the person who wrote the plan said she puts things away for a rainy day. She steals stuff from her housemates. You need to know what she does so that you can get the stuff back to her housemates and not have her housemates want to kill her. So don't pretend it's something it's not, but you can deal with it in a respectful way. You don't have to say thief. You can say she takes things from her housemates without permission that don't belong to her. And this is what you do to get it back. And at the end of every day, you say, Martha, got any stuff that isn't yours? And Martha will smile. She'll go, not much. Could you give it back? Uh-huh. And her housemates have to know that. And one of the housemates said, I'm not putting up with that. So we're going, okay. Your room has a lock on it. Would it be okay with you if you locked your room when you left it? Because that's where the stuff is. Another housemate said, it's kind of fun.